the anchorwoman announced the Soviet Union, as a subject of international and geopolitical reality, no longer exists.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at moments from the 1990s that seemed iconic at the time, but are chilling in retrospect.
Every time you turn a stone, there'll be a survivor somewhere. It hurts deep down as to why someone would do something of this magnitude.
Harvey Weinstein's Oscar.
Will, where is my play? Tell me you have it nearly done. Tell me you have it started.
Doubt that the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move.
No, we haven't the time. Talk prose. Where is my play?
At the time, it looked like the triumph of a dark horse film coming from an underdog studio. In 1999, Shakespeare in Love stunned Hollywood by beating Save It Private Ryan for Best Picture. Behind that upset was Miramax co-founder Harvey Weinstein, the mastermind of one of the most aggressive Oscar campaigns ever.
Long hours, no pay. Now I know what it's like to work for the Weinstein brothers.
It changed Hollywood forever, altering the way studios lobbied voters. Back then, it was celebrated as marketing genius, but in hindsight, it feels grotesque. Weinstein's later exposure as a cruel, ruthless predator turned his Oscar whisperer reputation into a chilling symbol of Hollywood's moral rot. His reported manipulation of voters mirrored his abuse of power behind closed doors. That shiny golden statue represents an entire industry looking the other way.
Paltrow tells the New York Times the movie mogul summoned her to his hotel suite for a meeting, then allegedly placed his hands on her and suggested they head to the bedroom for massages.
The Clinton Lewinsky scandal media coverage.
As you know, in a deposition in January, I was asked questions about my relationship with Monica Lewinsky. While my answers were legally accurate, I did not volunteer information. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
When the story broke, it was treated less like a constitutional crisis and more like must-see TV. In 1998, President Bill Clinton's affair with 22-year-old White House intern Monica Lewinsky became a media feeding frenzy. For months, every network, especially a young burgeoning Fox News, milked the scandal for ratings. The 24-hour news cycle had found its perfect storm: sex, power, and politics wrapped in moral outrage.
Now, it's hard really to sort all this out, because none of this really makes a whole lot of sense, and none of it is completely consistent. Either there was or there was not, however, a sexual relationship, and either there was or there were not suggestions that Monica Lewinsky taper her testimony or change her story to kind of keep with the program.
The coverage helped launch Fox News into the mainstream. Outrage and voyeurism became massive drivers of news viewership. In retrospect, it's appalling how a young woman was vilified for the actions of the most powerful man in the world. The imbalance of power was obvious. The media treated her humiliation as entertainment.
Overnight, I went from being a completely private figure to a publicly humiliated one. I was patient zero. Around the world, this story went. A viral phenomenon that you could argue was the first moment of truly social media.
The success of Lou Pearlman.
Kevin came into the group and recommended his cousin Brian. So that formed Five Guys together. I put the money out to help them. We give them choreographers, we give them vocal lessons, we provide tutors. I think I'm a great cultivator. I mean, they call me Big Papa.
In creating the late 90s American boy band craze, he sold an illusion. Lou Pearlman was the Svengali behind the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and O-Town. He turned teenage dreams into global pop chart domination. To fans, he was a music industry genius. To his artists, though, he was an emotionally manipulative con man in a shiny suit.
Why is that so important to you, to be called one of the band members?
Well, one is I share in the income.
Money aside. Money aside.
Backstreet Boys is a part of my life as much as it is theirs.
While he sold purity and promise to the public, he secretly ran one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in U.S. history. Pearlman reportedly defrauded investors and robbed his own bands blind. It was a twisted story of exploitation hiding behind hit singles and choreographed smiles. His downfall in the 2000s revealed the ugly truth behind the bubblegum. The 90s pop explosion was powered by deceit.
Quit playing games with my heart.
Celebrating Enron's success.
The biggest corporate bankruptcy in US history has now brought down one of the world's biggest accountancy firms. A jury in Houston, Texas today found Arthur Andersen in the US guilty of obstructing justice by shredding documents relating to Enron.
Enron was once hailed as the crown jewel of American innovation. The Houston-based energy company was a Wall Street darling, topping most innovative company lists 6 years in a row. Reporters gushed about its genius. Enron created new markets in energy trading, and its executives became celebrity CEOs. Enron symbolized the limitless promise of the deregulated tech-driven economy. Then the mask was ripped off.
Enron employees, some carrying boxes filled with belongings, leave their downtown headquarters, huddled against the cold and an uncertain future. News of the demise of the merger between Enron and Dynegy left many in shock.
People are surprised, they're shocked at the way that things went from here to there so quickly.
In 2001, it all imploded in one of the biggest corporate frauds in history. The company had been propped up by accounting tricks, shell companies, and lies. Thousands of employees lost their jobs and life savings virtually overnight. In hindsight, the glowing coverage feels grotesque, a media and market-cheering section for greed and deception.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown, wants to know why employee retirement funds were wiped out, while at the same time, top executives were personally making millions.
It is really the most stunning example of corporate misbehavior I think I have ever seen.
Aggressive marketing of sugary foods to children.
Come on, supercharged frosted flakes and a good breakfast will bring out the tiger in you.
They're great. It started with a few jingles and animated commercials. It ended with a generation in constant need of a sugar fix. Every cartoon break was a parade of mascots, toys, and Technicolor lies promising kids that candy was breakfast. Sodas and sugary juices meant freedom and fun. Cereal companies and snack brands got kids hooked with fun-sized boxes.
At last, sweet, delicious Trix, the fruity part of my complete breakfast. Wow, delicious, yummy, awesome, stupendous.
Hey, Rabbit, can I have some too?
Silly kid, tricks are for rabbits. Tricks are for rabbits.
Tricks are for kids. Tricks are for kids. Silly Rabbit.
A rabbit can dream, can't he?
Mascots like Tony the Tiger and the Trix Rabbit became childhood staples, pushing sugar-laden products. Children became brand loyal, and corporations made billions in lifelong customers. Scientists like John Yudkin had already warned that sugar, not fat, was fueling disease. Sadly, his research was buried under clever marketing. A decade of commercials engineered cravings that shaped diets for decades.
When a character was on the box, children said that they enjoyed the product more.
In a recent study out of the University of Pennsylvania, children were asked to use smiley faces to rate the taste of cereal. Researchers found children awarded more smiley faces to the cereal from boxes with cartoon characters than the ones without, even though the cereal itself was the same.
Dissolution of the Soviet Union.
The Queen, in her Christmas broadcast, said the oppressive regimes of Eastern Europe had crumbled with bewildering speed. She called on the West to help the new democracies.
The world watched human history shift in real time. On Christmas Day 1991, the Soviet flag was lowered for the last time over the Kremlin. From that moment on, the USSR officially ceased to exist. One political scientist called it the end of history. At the time, Western leaders hailed it as a triumph of democracy. They were all wrong.
It's going to be an economic disaster of incredible proportions for the Soviet republics to go their own way.
But Yeltsin and his Commonwealth colleagues say they know what they're doing, already signing agreements this weekend on nuclear weapons, which they say they will jointly control.
But the sudden shock of privatization, corruption, and inequality devastated millions across the former Soviet bloc. The collapse sparked a new era of organized crime and the rise of oligarchs. Russians soon turned to a new nationalist leader, Vladimir Putin. He would go on to wage a new technological Cold War with the West, culminating in the 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
Putin warned outside countries not to interfere. A Russian military operation, it would appear, is now underway. More than 150,000 Russian troops had been surrounding Ukraine for days now, surrounding the borders in the north, the east, and the south. A senior U.S. defense official had already reported the troops were uncoiled. They were ready all day.
The internet and rise of consumer tech. It started as a novelty, a dial-up connection that screeched to life. It would reshape the entirety of human civilization. By the late 1990s, the internet had jumped from government networks and universities into ordinary homes. AOL chat rooms, Yahoo searches, and early e-commerce sites made the online world feel limitless.
Every day, America Online is making it easier for people to live, work, and play.
Hey, Dan, ready for the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Kayaking friends on your computer?
Yeah, I just got America Online.
Tech companies promise connection, convenience, and a digital utopia. A computer in every home, a cell phone in every pocket. What they actually built was a new economy based on data and dependency. The same networks began tracking every click, habit, and purchase. Consumers became the commodities of a new digital age. They spent more and more time in a digital space filled with misinformation and lies meant to stoke anger and clicks.
Many years ago, if you walked in with an outlandish belief and you voiced that in polite company, someone would probably challenge you on it. Now, if I go online, I can find communities of people that not only validate my belief, they will amplify it. At times when things are uncertain or people are afraid, conspiracy theories, they proliferate more wildly.
Human Genome Project.
On the other side of the Atlantic, Tony Blair said reading the human genetic code was a milestone.
A revolution in medical science whose implications far surpass even the discovery of antibiotics.
Humanity set out to understand its own instruction manual. We succeeded. Launched in 1990, the Human Genome Project aimed to map every gene in human DNA. It was a monumental global effort that promised breakthroughs in medicine, evolution, and identity. When scientists announced its completion in 2003, the world hailed it as the dawn of a new biological era. Around the same time, researchers cloned Dolly the sheep, proving life itself could be copied.
Dolly is without question a normal, healthy, genetic marvel. She's an identical copy of an older sheep.
People expected that maybe at some time it would happen, but maybe we've been a little bit quicker than they expected.
It felt like progress had no limits, but it also marked the moment science began outpacing ethics. The same discoveries that helped cure disease can now be used for surveillance, eugenics, or designer babies. The Human Genome Project cracked life's code, raising terrifying questions about who gets to edit it.
Now, the age of gene therapy is fast approaching. Doctors first started trying to heal genetic disorders back in 1990. 3.5 decades later, they can now chalk up success stories like KJ Muldoon, a baby boy born with a rare, life-threatening metabolic disorder caused by a faulty gene.
Globalization and outsourcing boom. Factories fell silent across the West. Shipping ports in Asia roared to life. Trade liberalization and new technology made it cheaper than ever for companies to move production to developing nations. The formula changed the global economy. Corporations paid lower wages and gained record profits. Consumers got cheaper goods, and industrial towns across America and Europe were gutted. Global integration felt like progress, an inevitable step toward prosperity and connection. It also hollowed out the middle class, accelerating inequality and creating fragile supply chains that now stretch across the planet. Factories, jobs, and stability vanished in the name of efficiency. Globalization promised a borderless world. Instead, it made the rich richer and created a fragile global ecosystem susceptible to something as small as a virus.
Is a symptom of coronavirus. Hundreds of people waiting in line for a few days' worth of food. The line wraps around the block. People doing their best to stay a few feet apart, all while standing in the rain.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
The Oklahoma City bombing.
If it seemed like war yesterday, the reinforcements showed up tonight. At the center of it all, of course, is the bombed-out shell of the federal office building, and in its shadow, the exhausted, who for a day and a half now have sifted through its debris and counted its dead and seen up close why they call it terror.
The Oklahoma City bombing was the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in American history. On April 19, 1995, a truck bomb detonated outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. The bombing killed over 150 people and injured hundreds more.
But most of the Washington attention late today is on the search for clues to who did the bombing and why. One clue now being reported: the bomb, which may have contained the explosive equivalent of 2,000 pounds of dynamite, was apparently driven in a Ryder rental van.
The attack was orchestrated by Timothy McVeigh, a Gulf War veteran. McVeigh was radicalized by Waco and Ruby Ridge. His ideology was an explosive mix of white nationalism, anti-government extremism, and survivalist paranoia. His execution made him a martyr for the far right. It wasn't just a tragedy, it was a warning. McVeigh's attack arguably helped define the modern face of domestic terrorism, inspiring later extremist movements that still haunt American politics today. The shockwaves from Oklahoma City never truly faded, they just went online.
10 o'clock Friday night, hundreds of white nationalists storming the University of Virginia, protesting plans to remove a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
Looking back, which 90s event gives you the biggest case of "we should have seen it coming"? Let us know in the comments below.